We're recognizing. You need a minute? Okay. Hello, everyone. Welcome to our regular governing board meeting of the Litchfield Elementary School District. Today is Tuesday, September 12th, and I hereby call this meeting to order. The first item on the agenda is the Pledge of Allegiance. If you could please stand and join us. Next up, we will take a moment of silent reflection. Thank you. We are going to move on to the next section of our agenda, which is recognitions and presentations. We are going to start with recognitions and celebrations, and this is going to be by Executive Director Nuanez.
Madam President, Governing Board members, Superintendent Davidson, fellow cabinet members, community members and staff members present and online. You know, each regular board meeting, I stand up here and I tout the exceptional accomplishments by our staff and our students. Tonight's celebration is one that demonstrates our continuous drive for educational excellence. Verrado Elementary School District, Verrado Heritage Elementary School's dedication to creating a school environment that promotes learning, leadership, and service by becoming a Leader in Me school demonstrates what it takes to lead, and it has positively impacted many of the other schools in our district. The success of Leader in Me at Verrado Heritage has had a ripple effect on our other schools and is also choosing to adopt the program and the philosophy of leadership. The first of its kind in LESD, the vision of the Verrado Heritage Leader in Me program came from a desire to build leaders that prioritize academic success and give back to their community. All Verrado Heritage staff members have been trained in Leader in Me and are committed to the belief that every hero on campus, from the smallest and the littlest of our preschoolers to the most veteran teachers, you can find leadership in themselves and in others. Their mission, we learn, we lead, and we serve, is derived from the core values of Leader in Me program. Leader in Me focuses on academics, leadership, and culture, which creates success for more than just the students at Verrado Heritage. It also promotes connection with the families and the community members that they serve. Verrado Heritage not only shines brightly with the LESD community and is now being recognized at the state, national, and international levels. Schools from other districts in Arizona have come to visit Verrado Heritage in hopes of implementing Leader in Me or just re-energizing their current Leader in Me programs on their campuses. Leader in Me has even brought film crews to their campus to highlight some of their achievements. Let's take a look.
It starts with our principal, goes from leader, then we have teammates within each aspect. Students here to section teams to help sustain the big drops year so that we meet our goals and we're all successful. So that's the expectation. Let us know this is what the vision, the mission is for our campus. And then that turns into being the team and everything. It's amazing too because I'll find out that someone's ever been a good artist before, and I've worked with you for years. So when we open it up and they find the person they feel like they can share what they're thinking, it's incredible to see. something. In this field that we work in, it's completely a collaborative type of atmosphere, right? Working with each other, the kids have to work with each other, the adults have to work with each other to make anything happen. Collaboration can happen, and there's no trust with each other. And that's the purpose of what the team itself, to provide the opportunity to sit as a team and say, how are we going to access that? So, sitting together. Team will be with you, the team will be with you.
Exceptional work. So tonight we celebrate the Verrado Heritage Lighthouse Action Team Leads, led by Principal Meredith Noche, Lighthouse Coordinators Chrissy Carberry, Jamie Monday, Leadership Action Team Leads Nicole Wolf, Michelle Bonfanti, Cassie Mako, Heather New, Culture Action Team Leads Jennifer Mock, Natalie Bush, Melissa Hawking, Deseret Foles, and Academic Action Team Leads Michelle Steik, Sarah Basham, Amanda Brooks, and Melissa Forney. We applaud your accomplishment. You guys are truly awesome. Now, can we get a group picture with everybody? We'll squish up here real quick. There's some social media yearning for your photo. Let's go ahead and squish all back up in here.
Sorry, what?
Right.
All right.
What do I need to say?
So we'll make Principal Noje available for any questions that you might have.
Mr. Owens, do you have any questions?
No, congratulations. This is awesome. See all these faces and a lot of familiar faces, and I've toured the campus and looking forward to doing it again. Last tour, we got to hear from some of the students about how Leader in Me impacts them, and they're from the 8th grade down to the little ones. It's really cool to see them embrace it and grow over the years that they're at Heritage. So kudos to you. Thank you.
Mr. Honak, did you have any questions or comments for them? Ms. Moran, did you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I don't have any questions. My comment would just be, I love this. I really appreciate your dedication to the fidelity of this program. I've seen the positive impacts on the students and the staff, and I can't wait to see this expanded at our other campuses as well. And I'm just really, really appreciative that you have supported this program and really helped your teachers and your staff and your students to be all in. I think that's the only way this works. And I love it. Every time I see it and I see and get deeper into it, I just love it more and more. So keep up the good work.
Ms. Clymer?
No questions. I'm really familiar with the program, but I do want to say it's no surprise to me that we see not only the success of this program in your school and, your dedication to it, as Ms. Moran mentioned, but that, now you are helping other schools and you are using your time, your staff time, your personal time, I imagine, to go and spread that knowledge that you have learned, which is fantastic. And I was going to say, it's no surprise to me that now, Franklin Covey and Leader in Me are coming back and seeing leadership in our school and in our program to showcase other districts and other schools across the country what success looks like. So kudos to you guys. Thanks.
I don't have any questions either. I have always loved the Leader in Me program, and I love seeing how it's been done at this campus. My son was there the very first year when you guys opened, so I got to see the very start of it. And then also as a board member, getting to come back and see how it's grown over time is amazing. And you see it in every person on that campus. Everyone embraces it. And I agree with Ms. Moran that everybody's got to for it to work. And that's why it's so successful. And you guys are doing a great job. So thank you very much for all that you do on your campus and sharing that wisdom with the other campuses that are looking to bring this to them now in the future.
Thank you.
So next up, we are going to have a presentation on the Purple Star School candidacy. This is going to be led by Dr. Davidson.
Thank you, President Zaidama and board members. I am sad that the team is leaving because I think they'd really enjoy the presentation that's in front of us. But thank you again for giving me the opportunity to come tonight and highlight a collaborative effort that really is going to be, I just think, an awesome experience for not just Litchfield Elementary School District, but 3 other school districts on behalf of a partnership with Luke Air Force Base. And I'm just really excited to invite some team members today to discuss what it means for us in Litchfield Elementary to be considered and to create Purple Star School candidates, but really having the opportunity to be one of the first in the state of Arizona really excites me. So tonight we have Miss Joanne Osborne, community member and activist, to help us with the presentation, along with Colonel Pete Abercrombie. And I think certainly we have some conversation back and forth, but again, thank you for giving us the opportunity to move this partnership forward. So Ms. Osborne and Ms. Colonel Abercrombie, thank you.
Thank you so much. And I really appreciate you having us here this evening. We're going to do a little tag team here today. If you don't remember me, I am Joanne Osborne, one of your former state legislators and also the former vice mayor of the city of Goodyear. But I'm truly, I'm a Litchfield mom. All 4 of my kids went to, they went to Palm Valley, they went to Western Sky, and then I'm a Tiger mom, all graduated from Millennium. So I'm certainly know this community and this district, and I'm really privileged to be here today. But I'm also the chairman of a state committee that was teen mental health, and also I founded the Arizona Teen Leadership Academy. And darn, they all left, and I just wanted to thank them for being leaders in their school. So that's awesome. But today, this is something that is going very quickly, and you'll kind of understand why. But it has taken the notice of our new commander at Luke Air Force Base and his wife. And they Melissa Rushaw would be here with me. She and I do this great presentation, but she's in Iowa today. So I brought a wonderful group commander with me to tell a little bit of the story of what he sees and how it affects our military and our airmen and women. This actually, Mr. and Mrs. Rushaw were at what they call a capstone event in DC just early spring, and maybe Mayish, I would say. And they were hearing about different situations around the world with different countries. And then it went into a series about military children and families and things like that. And what you should have are papers about the criteria and a map of the United States that shows the Purple Star schools. So as she was there in DC and was hearing about this, Purple Star schools are really just a name for a support system around military children. And you can imagine a lot of these kids are traveling from different schools. I know the commander, their family has moved 7 times. And then you also have your parents that go on deployment. So there's a lot of stressors. And I know I'm preaching to the choir when we talk about ACEs, things like that with children that they go through. And, the separation of family can be part of one of those issues with kids. Anyway, as Melissa was there listening to all this, she comes to find out, and this was back in May, that there were 12 schools in the United States left that had not put together these Purple Star schools. And she's looking over the list and finds out that Arizona is one of them. And actually, as I stand here today, we're down to 7 schools in the nation left that have not implemented this support system in schools that are around our bases. And here we are with Luke Air Force Base being the largest training facility in our nation, and we don't have this. So she immediately was texting me from this conference saying, "You're not going to believe this. Come help me." So I'm like, absolutely. And here we are today. As she flew back and we coordinated, I said, you know what? It's going to take state legislation. I know the chairman. We'll talk to them. We'll see what the other states across the nation are doing. I looked at the language of Florida and of Texas. We started to gather things together. What can we do to go down that side of how this comes together in the state? But then I thought, the best thing for us to do is show this in action as a pilot. Now, I'm sorry, but I'm a little partial to the West Valley. And I think you are too. And I'm like, let's talk to our superintendents that surround the base. And that's what we did. And we pulled together your superintendent, Agua Fria's superintendent, Dysart School District superintendent, and then Great Heart superintendent as a collaboration to say, this is what we're doing. Why can't we show rest of the state how it goes? And I'm going to stop right there because I want you to hear from the mouth of a father, a mouth of the man that sees the things, within the base, and let him give a little bit of a story and a background.
Thank you, Joanna, and thank you, board, for letting me come here and talk today. I'm Pete Abercrombie. I'm the mission support group out at Luke Air Force Base, and I've been here since July, so I'm a newcomer to the area. But what I'll tell you is I'll tell you 2 stories real quick. One was told to me by Mrs. Rushoff, actually. So when she moved here and she enrolled her kids in school, right, they're very new to the school, and her daughter didn't know anybody. And so for lunch on her first day of school, she decided to eat in the bathroom. That's how much anxiety she had of meeting new kids, right? So there was nobody there to greet her, nobody there to welcome her. So she just had that anxiety. And instead of putting herself out there at lunchtime and just going to pick a table to go sit at and make new friends, she felt it was better to go eat in the bathroom, which is unfortunate, right? That we have children that feel that way. And then I'll tell you the story of my daughter. So she's a junior this year. Oh, in the school district. It's not your school district that she's in, but so new. And so she got her schedule for the year. So she went for about a week and a half, and they told her, "Hey, you are in a class that's oversized. We've got some space in this other class. We're going to move you out of these classes into that one." And so she went to her counselor and said, "Hey, I've only made like 2 friends, and they're in these 2 classes you're trying to move me out of. Is there any way you can keep me in these classes? Because I'm starting to feel comfortable." And she's like, her counselor pretty much told her, "Sorry, that's an administrative decision. I can't help you." So this is just 2 stories of people I know. And the base has got about 5,000 military members who are moving consistently. And those are just 2 small examples of what probably military children and any other new children who are moving into these districts are facing, right? It's the anxiety. It's that not knowing who to talk to, who to turn to get that help that you need when you're a brand new student. And so that's what this Purple Star Initiative is really all about. It's actually giving them a safe foundation for military kids, for any kids really who are brand new to your school district, to have a safe place. And I know Joanne will probably talk into, but I'll talk about some of the things that we're talking about here for the program is just having an anchor program, right? Having kids who want to volunteer to be those ambassadors for your schools to take on those new kids, right? To say, hey, I know it's your first day at school. I know you're probably anxious. You probably don't know where to go. You don't know who to talk to. I'm your buddy. I've got you. Let me get you where you need to go. And we'll have other things that I'll let Joanne talk about, but those are the things that we're looking to do for all kids, right? To make that transition that much easier so they feel comfortable in school and can learn and not be worried when they come home at the end of the day about, I didn't talk to anybody. I don't want to go back to school, because it is a struggle when they come home and they just don't want to go back to school because they just don't feel like they belong. And that's what we're trying to get after. So I'll turn back over to Joanne to go over the tenets of the program.
Thank you very much. And as we look at this, just so you all understand, you have support. This is something that we're not trying to bring that's costing a lot of money or anything like that, because every base facility has a school liaison. And that school liaison with Luke Air Force Base is ready to do all the training that's supposed to come with it. So there's no cost there. I think the beauty of one of the very important parts is that peer-to-peer type of concept. And we certainly have seen that with teenagers. Now, I know you have littles, but we certainly know your middle schoolers have a mind of their own. And so they certainly would benefit from this. But you think back to Arizona. Now, a lot of people, the Rushaws are brand new here to our area. And we know as Arizonans that Arizona is a very transient state. I mean, we know people move in and out of Arizona a great deal. So there's always that mobile concept within our state, but just the growth alone. Then you think about the power plant. We see people in gas and oil that move their families around all over the place, travel a great deal. And the benefit of teachers being trained, understanding kind of that emotional stuff that kids run through as they're going from school to school. It's nice to have a friend there day one to kind of help you out. But it will also benefit the kids that go for different reasons being in school. I moved 7 times when I was a child. We know kids are resilient, they're strong, they're going to bounce back. Right now, it's a little longer and harder for them to bounce back, but they're going to get there. And I did that. But my family wasn't military. My dad was a major construction guy. So we went from state to state, city to city. And that was just part of life. But right now, I think it's a special time to really say, what in Arizona can we do for our military families? Because 1, they are moving around a lot, but 2, when you have less people joining the military, we need to support them. We need to make sure that they aren't stressed, that they're not going to re-up because they're worried about their family, they're worried about their children. We want to do what we can here. We also know if that doesn't get you enough, that it's really about the children and the family, let's talk about the $12 billion impact that our military facilities make to our state. The fact that we have all these veterans and we have all of these retired military, this is something that we're helping with the active duty person and their family. So there's really 4 criteria about it. And like I said, you'll already have the support with the liaison from the base to help get the training done. A website, certainly you all have your own webmasters that would be able to fulfill that information. And kind of when you think about, now I know in high schools, when you have all these different clubs and organization, there's some teacher that's like the advisor of the club. Well, for this, if you look at, do you have a teacher or someone within the school that is a veteran or has been or was a, a brat themselves, a military child, they have that understanding. They would be a perfect role person for this type of thing. So this is what are putting out there. We certainly do not want to be the last state in America to be saying we're supporting our bases and our military family and children. And I'm going to make sure that this gets through with the legislature. And at the same time, we want to highlight what the West Valley is doing here. And just as the last side note, I'm a daughter of the American Revolution. My grandfather was a World War II fighter pilot. And what's kind of crazy is that, the Goodyear Airport wasn't an airport then, but it was the naval base. And that's where my grandfather flew off to war. And he never came home. And to this day, for me to do everything I can to support Luke, and I know we all feel that way, being a base community, it really impacts me to sit there and think, there's 7 states that don't have this program. Arizona's got to do its A game here and take it on. And so I thank you for listening. And we are really hoping to have schools identified per district that makes sense. There may be a school that just doesn't have enough military kids, so it might not make sense, but I'm sure your superintendent will be looking at what does that mean for the Litchfield School District. And I hope that you'll be excited about this as much as we are. And I'll certainly try to answer any questions that you may have. Thank you.
President Zeidman, if you wouldn't mind just to add a couple more comments. I want our team to recognize here that as we begin this process, we aren't going to say every single school in LESD 79 is going to be a Purple Star school yet. I wanted to highlight to our team, we have over 638 students that we serve of either families as reserve personnel or active personnel. Our school with the highest population is currently Dreaming Summit. So that would be my intent, is to begin working with that principal to see how we could make this a model school, one that is that candidate school that other schools could begin to look at as we support those students. So I just wanted to let everybody know this isn't an all in, everybody's going at once. We're going to take our time and get it right, assuming the legislature also supports us. So I'll be quiet now and let the board ask questions. Thank you.
Mr. Owens, did you have any questions or comments?
Yeah, I'll start with my comments. First of all, it is surprising to me that we aren't any color yet, right? As active as Arizona is with supporting our military. In a previous life, when I was working for the governor, I participated and worked with Fighter Country Partnership and the West Valley Council as a governor's representative. So knowing how hard, the state and the city leaders work to protect the mission of Luke Air Force Base, it's encouraging now for me in this role to help support the students and the children of those airmen who work and support our country. So surprised there, but hopeful for this. And I know that I've seen on many campus tours, Belen Soto stands out the most to me. These 2 young men, remember, that gave us the tour. And I was so blown away by how thoughtful and articulate they were, but also how these are examples of young students who could be those welcoming guides to new students. And it breaks my heart that, any child would feel alone on their first day of school, whether it's a military member or not. But I'm hopeful that this can happen. And so this is my question would be, is this something that we can do now pending legislation? Because I don't think we need to necessarily have a state law.
I apologize. That was my fault, because that is why we're starting with you all, because we want the pilot.
Correct. Yeah. What do we need to do first pending this, just because there's no reason that we can't, absent any resources that would come from being a purple state.
Thank you, Mr. Owens. And I know we do have a collaborative joint meeting in a couple of weeks, so we're going to get together and continue to iron out our plans for moving forward. But I wanted to certainly inform the board of our intent to move forward. So after tonight will be additional conversations with some of our team members, and really just trying to ensure that as we put this plan together across those 4 criteria, that we do it well and that we have the right supports needed at the site level. So we're ready to go, for sure.
Great. Thank you for your work, and thanks for those examples. and obviously what you do for our country. So thank you.
Mr. Honak.
Absolutely, or lovely, but, oh, okay. Okay, yeah, let's do it.
Ms. Moran, did you have any questions or comments?
I do, yes. My dad served in the U.S. Air Force JAG Corps throughout my childhood and into middle school. So as a military brat myself, I understand the need and fully support this program. Thank you for bringing this valuable and much needed support to our military families. I look forward to learning more about how I, as a board member and we as a district, can support this program in our schools. My question is, Ms. Osborne, you alluded to this program being similar to a club or something like that we already have. Dr. Davidson, would you anticipate that this program would be eligible to be one of our teacher leader projects, and that might entice or help to incentivize one of our teachers to one or more of our teachers to step up and lead this program?
Madam President and Governing Board Member Moran, I certainly appreciate your problem solving out there and your creativity. So the answer is yes on that. We would work with our principal at Dreaming Summit or any additional schools to work with their staff, but it would be a great opportunity for them to demonstrate their leadership and support of this particular community.
Okay, excellent. And just to clarify, this isn't anything that you need the board to vote on, correct? We're not spending any funds. This is just a program to support our students that does not need board action.
That is correct. Yes, ma'am. No action needed, just discussion, and wanted to be thoughtful of you all as community members, knowing that you might be asked about this, or certainly that you could support it as well.
Yeah, I think it's great. So let's move forward. Awesome. Thanks.
Ms. Clymer.
I don't have any direct questions. I think first and foremost, thank you to you both for your service to our community far and wide. It's quite clear your dedication to not only our school children, but children all across this country that have moved around, have picked up, have followed their parents, have followed faithfully, knowing that, you know, their parents are doing good things, but have unfortunately, you know, they may be falling behind or missing out on friendships or missing out on building relationships. And, you know, the public school can be a tool in that toolbox to help solve some of those problems. So I share your surprise, Ryan, that we are nowhere on this map. That is surprising to me. I've lived in the West Valley for many years, like all of us have, and we all see the impact of Luke here every day, not just in our school, but economically and from our community perspective. So it's surprising that we wouldn't have been more in the forefront of this, but here we are, and we have people like you that are dedicated and ready to take this on. So Dr. Davidson, I don't have any specific questions to you, just, you know, my support. And I think this dovetails really nicely with a lot of the programs that we already have in our school, and the way that we want to welcome every child, knowing that certainly there are military families that have different needs and different adjustments, periods and things like that. But we should be doing this for all students all the time. No excuses. So thank you very much for your presentation. I really appreciate it. And I look forward to showing everybody what the West Valley can do, because it's about time they looked at us as, you know, a pilot program for something involving especially public education and something that can be helpful throughout the state.
I also don't have any questions for you. I grew up also a military brat myself. My dad was in the Navy, my grandfather, I have a long line of military, and my son serves in the Navy now. So I get how important this is from all those levels, right? And I know how it'll be important in the future for my grandkids to have something like this wherever they end up. So I appreciate you bringing this to us. And I appreciate that we get to be part of kind of shaping what that looks like. Since it's not in place right now, we get to help. We get to be the people that make this whatever it ends up becoming and potentially being put throughout our state. So I'm excited to see where this goes. I can't wait for more updates. And thank you so much for bringing this to us and letting us be part of this beginning process with you.
Thank you. And I just wanted to add that our goal, and that's why I said this has been moving very quickly, is that we're hoping to have, we are meeting at the end of the month to circle back. And, you know, our vision of all of our visions is that regardless of who our superintendent is, who is at the commander at the base, who's the school board, we want this to last in place for children. And that's really, I think, the key goal. But when a school does qualify for that purple ribbon, we will have a big banner. We will have a big celebration because we do want to show that this is of importance. And I will hope that you will all be there at, I'm assuming, what'd you say? It was Dreaming Summit. And we were hoping to do it by Veterans Day. So that's the goal. All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
We will see you there. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Kurt. Hard, I'm from sacrifice, and I'm the chaplain, and anything that we can do, we have a role in this. I'm a Vietnam vet. All right? Welcome aboard.
Okay, we are going to move on to the next item, public comment. We don't have any, so actually we are going to skip that section. And then next up is the adoption of the approval of the consent agenda. As we talked about last time, we're going to go through if anybody has any items they want to ask a question about or pull off for a vote separately, we will pull them off and then we will approve consent agenda of what's left and then review all those items. So I will start with you, Mr. Owens. Did you have any items that you wished to pull from the consent agenda?
I do not, thank you.
Mr. Honak? Ms. Moran?
No items to remove.
Ms. Clymer?
No, thank you.
I don't have anything either. So if someone wants to make a motion.
I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
I second.
Having a first and a second, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Owens?
Yay.
Mr. Honak? Ms. Moran?
Yay.
Ms. Clymer?
Yay.
I'm also a yay. The motion passes. Okay, we are going to move on to our action items. This is going to be the literacy assessments for kindergarten assessment. Presentation on House Bill 2060, and this is going to be by Executive Director Benjamin.
Good evening, Madam President, members of the governing board. Feels like we've been talking about kindergarten entry assessment for quite some time. So this evening, I will go through some of this information quickly. It is there, so I'll be able to answer questions if I miss something and you have questions about that. So the KEA was adopted by legislation back in 2022, and we were required to do it this year. However, HB 2060 was passed, but it will not go into effect until October 30th. So our teachers are implementing TS Gold right now. KEA and TS Gold, it's a little confusing. KEA is mandated no matter what. However, the assessment that is used is board discretion. Currently, we are using TS Gold required by the state, and we are asking that this evening you approve using our current district assessments, which are Acadience, iReady, and district kindergarten benchmark assessments. We'll talk a little bit more about that. This does fit the pillar of student success and finance. A little bit of the background I already gave, but it was in 2022-2023, ADE granted approval for the KEA, which is the kindergarten entry evaluation tool. We are administering it to every student. It's required within the first 45 days of school. And at that time, TS Gold was chosen by the Board of Education. We are implementing TS Gold right now, so our kindergarten teachers are having to do that, and 45 days is not up yet. However, part of that legislation is that even if a student moves in January, they would still be required to do TS Gold at that time. So what our hope is that starting October 30th, if you approve this plan, that our kindergarten teachers will be able to go and utilize the current assessments that we do, and they don't have to do the TS Gold. Here's just a little bit of information about what the TS Gold does collect. It collects social and emotional development, physical, cognitive approaches to learning, math, and language and literacy. Governor Hobbs signed the House Bill 2060, which allows rather than requires school districts to administer the KEA tool adopted by the Board of Education, which is TS Gold. HB 2060 provides school districts the ability to select the appropriate kindergarten entry evaluation assessments rather than require. So that's what we are coming to you for this evening. I added a letter from ADE that talks about that we did have to comply with this law this year because the legislation of HB 2060 was not implemented in time. So we are completing the TS Gold right now. Our practice for the other assessments in kindergarten, we have Acadians, which is our universal literacy and dyslexia screener. This meets ARS 15704. We do this 3 times a year in kindergarten, fall, winter, and spring. We also have a math benchmark, which is a district assessment focused on the kindergarten standards, and we do that in the fall and spring. The math benchmark is completed one-on-one for kindergarten students. We also complete an iReady diagnostic, and that is done in the winter and the spring, and that is math focused. And then we also have a 45-day screener for all kindergartners because they are new to school, and any child that's coming into our school district, the teacher has to complete a 45-day screener to let us know if there's any issues or concerns. If any issues or concerns arise on that 45-day screener, then a team will meet to see what interventions we can put in place, as well as making sure that the parents are aware of the concerns. So as you can see, we are already doing quite a bit for our students. And as a team, we felt that this does give us enough information and that the TS Gold is not necessary because we have all of this information to be able to determine if a child is needing additional support. We do believe that the TS Gold requires a lot of additional manpower from our kindergarten teachers, and that has caused some issues and some concerns. It is time consuming. It is one-on-one. We do have to take video or pictures of every student for every one of those skills or standards and upload it to a website to prove or provide a ranking or a rubric of where that child falls. So this is very, very time consuming, and a lot of our teachers have been struggling with this. And so we're just hoping to be able to take something off of their plates. The financial impact, if we continue to keep the TS Gold, it does require 3 hours of training by the state. We did complete this 3 hours of training. However, knowing that this was likely going away, we asked that new teachers attend that. And we also asked that 1 teacher per school attend. Moving forward in the future, we would continue to have to pay teachers to take a 3-hour training by ADE. We also would need to purchase iPads. We have about 60 kindergarten teachers across the district. Currently, the plan was that if TS Gold was staying, we would have purchased those iPads already, but in July, we weren't sure where we stood. There was a little bit of mixed feeling about what was going to happen at the Department of Ed. So we did not purchase the iPads, and we've borrowed them from our specialized programs, and kindergarten teachers are currently borrowing from each other and taking turns. So if we chose to keep TS Gold, we would need to purchase iPads for all of our kindergarten teachers to take those pictures and videos and upload them to the site. This impacts our teachers primarily. It also impacts our students because teachers are focusing on the assessment rather than teaching during this time. And we believe that we have a lot of the data in the other places and spaces that we're collecting for students. So our Acadians, our math benchmark, and our iReady diagnostic assessment provide enough support for our teachers to know what our kindergarten students need. If you are to approve using our current tools that we use for assessment, then as of October 30th, we would no longer use TS Gold. We would continue with the KEA, but the KEA would be our district adopted assessments. And that is all I have. Do you have any questions for me?
Mr. Owens?
Two questions.
Yes.
First one's a no-brainer, obviously. You're presenting this information. I just want to make sure that you believe that getting rid of TS Gold, we have the adequate tools necessary to accurately assess our kindergartners?
I do. And actually another piece that I didn't mention, TS Gold is only required to do one time a year within the first 45 days. So we are actually not measuring growth of students or effectiveness of teachers. We are technically assessing how the student comes into the school, which could be either a preschool program or the parent.
I
And
did pick up
so-
on that in the notes that, and so there's nothing to even compare it to, like, oh, cool, you came from here and you're there. And then, so with the TS Gold, you're required to assess students within the first 45 days. So how would you assess now new students that come in mid-year that didn't do that? So that's my question. How would you
Great
assess
question.
their
So the Acadians data is still collected as soon as a student joins us. We will do, that's the literacy piece for dyslexia. We're required to do that when a student comes in. The math benchmark is fall and spring. We wouldn't usually make that up. We would allow the student to just continue, but the iReady is done in the winter and the spring. So we have a lot of those tools. And if a teacher had concerns, we could absolutely do an assessment at any time.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Mr. Honak, did you have any questions or comments?
No, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Moran?
Yeah, I just want to say that I am all for streamlining and using our current systems that are or as you're saying, really more effective than the recommended separate tool. So I think this, taking this separate tool off of our kinder teachers' plate is exactly the type of efficiencies that I would like to see us continue to do to combat teacher burnout and those sorts of things. So excellent work. I think this is amazing.
Thank you.
Ms. Clymer?
Just one question. What do we do, or do we use the TS Gold information outside of uploading it to the state by requirement?
So in preschool, we do use the TS Gold, and that is the only thing. We're not giving grades. We're not looking at some of those other things. So in our preschool programs, our parents will see TS Gold. However, in preschool, we do have instructional aids in every single classroom, which is able to support that process. And we're using it multiple times a year. It's not just the first 45 days. So in elementary school, in kindergarten, we haven't actually created a plan of how we're going to use this. The hope is that the teachers are going to learn something about their students and be able to present it at conferences in October. And I'm certain that teachers will use that. But I don't think that it's any different than the other assessments that we also have available, which are more focused on academics.
Yeah, I guess my question is, if we're currently using TS Gold because it's required and we're uploading the information to the state and then we're shelving it and we're never using it again, that's what I'm picking up from what's happening here. We have so many other diagnostic tools and assessments that we use ourselves that we can parse out throughout the year. We can test many different things versus this one. So I was just making sure there wasn't some other use for that information after we fulfilled our obligation to the state. And if we stop using TS Gold, just to follow up on what you said in the preschoolers, does that affect the preschool use of it? They will continue to use it in preschool. It's just from kindergarten moving forward. Thank you.
I don't have any questions. I'm sorry to all the teachers that had to do it already this year because the law didn't go into effect until October 30th. But I am all for taking things off our teachers' plates. I think that we do a fantastic job of monitoring our students throughout the year. And that tells us more information than this TS Gold is giving us. I mean, basically what you're saying here today, we don't use that for anything other than a requirement that we have to. So I think that's a great idea to get rid of it. Yes, go ahead, Mr.
If our preschoolers go to our kindergarten, does that TSK Gold information go up to the kindergarten teachers then?
So we could have access to it if we needed to, or if we wanted to look at that at the very beginning of the year. Yes.
No problem. If there's no other questions, then I will entertain a motion.
I move that we approve the literacy assessment for kindergarten presentation as presented.
I will second.
Having a first and a second, I'll call for the vote. Mr. Owens,
Yay.
Mr. Honak,
Abstain.
Ms. Moran,
Yay.
Ms. Clymer.
Yay.
I am a yay. Motion passes. Okay. Next, we are going to move on to reports. We are going to start with Superintendent Davidson.
All right. Thank you, President Zinum and members of the board. Certainly, it always seems to be a busy time. I feel like I say that every time I have a chance to share things that are happening, top happenings with the board. Just wanted to say thank you to those of you that were able to commit to a few days of learning last week, and Mr. Owens, on behalf of your Saturday event as well. Thank you for just being a part of our Litchfield team, representing us and just getting some information that might help us improve our efforts in the future. So the thing that I'd highlight as well is our current strategic plan. One of the pillars is people. And so I just wanted to share a few of the things that we're doing right now to incorporate the voice of people. One of the things we have coming tomorrow is our first Superintendent's Advisory Council, where members of our team will meet with classified and certified staff across our schools, just to have some information sharing and some information gathering that'll help inform our practices. So we look forward to doing that tomorrow afternoon. Ms. Jennifer Benjamin and team is they're leading the initiative around the Litchfield learners. Some of you have heard that presentation, but also we most recently captured well over 90 community members that wanted to be a part of the team to establish the criteria of what it means for our 8th graders when they leave us to go to high school. We've dwindled that down a little bit, of course, and I think we'll have around 20 people sharing their voices. And then certainly throughout this experience this fall, we'll have opportunities for community members, board members, and so forth to give additional insight. Mr. Stone and team, to include, I know Mr. Vaughn is highly involved in this. We also will begin committee work around good old fashioned boundary changes. So I know that doesn't excite many of you, but for those listening, do know it's something we do have to talk about as we continue to see growth in the northwest portion of our district and so declining enrollment on our east side. So look forward to capturing the voice of our team members out there. Lastly, I'll just highlight Sam and his work alongside our PTA and Booster Club president. So just had a meeting yesterday to kind of begin that conversation with our PTOs, PTAs on the different initiatives that are happening in LESD 79. So a lot of opportunities for us to capture the voice and to share information, and just excited to have the interest in the different endeavors that we're going through. So thank you.
Thank you. Next, we will move on to reports from our governing board members. We will start with Mr. Owens.
Thank you. Yeah, big highlight was attending the ASBA pre-law conference. And then I was fortunate enough to spend my Saturday morning listening to wordsmithing the ASBA legislative agenda. But other than that, not much. Looking forward to some campus tours this month, and hopefully everyone's having a good school year so far.
Mr. Honak. Can you make sure your mic is on, please?
So, governing board reports are on recent events attended. We can present a brief summary of current events pursuant to ARS 38-431.02K. Governing board members will not discuss or take action on any current event summary. The reason I'm saying that is because in the past, when I've tried to do it in an unprecedented manner, never happened anywhere else in the history, the board collectively shut me down and kept me from talking. So I'm just want to preface that I would like to read what I have to say. My current event is the August 29th board meeting. I had hoped that things were going to change at LESD, but at that meeting, it was undeniable that because of the behavior of the board, there is no hope for LESD. I'm not a quitter, that's for sure, but I am forced to leave the board in the near future. Collectively, the board did a lot of things. First, the board lied about the equity statement. It's not inclusive. The board repeatedly violates the open meeting law and deprives constitutional rights to prevent any discussion about school matters that it does not like. That's not my opinion. That's the Attorney General's opinion. Deprivation of constitutionally protected speech is a serious federal crime. The board astonishingly voted against improving academics on March 3rd, 2021. After enduring this and being shut down regularly when at one meeting, they said I couldn't talk about the equity statement, put it on the agenda. I put it on the agenda. It came up on the agenda on April 27th. When I wanted to talk about it, they said, oh, no, you can't talk about it. You know, we're only talking about the new one. They hired facilitators illegally. I got to stick to my script. Okay. After enduring this for a year, on March 15th, 2022, I was giving my board member report on a film that I and some other parents had seen about why schools have been taken over by collectively what basically this board is. I called them out for it. I'd had it. I didn't put up with it. I didn't debate politely. I just said, you're breaking the law. I did exactly what I was trained to do by the Phoenix Police Department when I'm confronting illegal behavior. And the board went and they collectively committed perjury, claiming that I was harassing the board or a board member, and got an injunction. So for 1 year, I could not attend in person. After being sued, they've been sued, and then continuing it, and then being caught again red-handed earlier this year. I don't know whether the lawyers took them into a side or gave them a little bit of a talk, but all of a sudden, it was when board president Zeidema took over, all of a sudden I began to be amazingly treated like a regular board member. And it was really nice. And things changed, and eventually the year went up and I was able to come back to board meetings. And I really thought things were different. I looked forward to our new superintendent, and I have good relationships with our new superintendent and a lot of the new administrators, and I really had high hopes. Then a couple of weeks ago, the board evidently couldn't help itself and had to start jumping all over me, heckling me, and essentially, if you analyze the open meeting law, illegally cutting me off when I'm elected official. I have been given the floor and I'm talking on the agendized topic, and then being told that I can't talk. Again, that's a constitutional right. Go look up deprivation of constitutional rights. You will be in shock. Every time I'm talking about public concerns, what do people do? If you read what board members are supposed to do, their number one duty is to represent the public and the public's wishes. The collective board has done the opposite, and they've admitted on video that they feel just fine ignoring the public. I foolishly thought, in any case, I'm almost done here. That's when it was one of my main duties. LESD is not keeping up with enrollment. They're having trouble getting teachers and academics. And I guarantee, I'm not being negative, it just will not stop failing until it adopts a new paradigm. And that's what I've been trying to do. I presented Supercharged Life Adventure several months after I was on the board. Totally based on research, basically used by every successful school where they have a vigorous dependency on parent involvement as opposed to alienating parents. But it needs a paradigm, but you cannot change until you admit that you have a problem, because literally to get parents involved, you got to show them that you really need them and sincerely will use their help, because we do need to improve academics instead of pretending we're wonderful and doing a happy dance every week celebrating. The new superintendent and administration, as well-intentioned and hardworking as they be, they're not going to be able to improve the school districts when its goals are set by a corrupt, self-serving governing board. Therefore, it is utterly hopeless. I was deprived the right of even discussing that when we had the special meeting with Steve Joel coming out. And he asked me a simple question, what's going on? You know, what do you think about why we can't get teachers to stay? And I was explaining that, which was the absolute truth, and was cut off. So I find that, you know, protesting and trying to continue when I'm to talk only makes the public think I'm the one at fault. So I just wrap up and go home and continue to have this anxiety that, you know, this is like Litchfield School District, like living in a dictatorship where there are no rights. Well, I'm an American. I've always been an American. I'm an Eagle Scout at a very young age. I've tried to live it. I'm far from perfect. But when I pledge allegiance to the flag, I actually mean it. As a matter of fact, I have tell a story. Moving here from California in 2006 was overwhelming, life-changing experience. Moving to a new city state is a big deal. I've been forced to go through that again because Litchfield School District is not America. It is a dictatorship where even an elected official has no right to speak when they are given the floor and speaking on the agenda. This is how desperate the board of LESD is to prop up their delusions. I've already said this, the new administration is not going to stand up to the board because they know what will happen. You know, you guys need to establish yourself, and sitting here fighting with the board is more than anybody would expect. So when am I going to leave? I've explained why. We bought a house in July. It needs major remodeling. It also needs a very large building added onto the property. I've got a lot of stuff going on in my life and I need that. It's incredibly stressful doing that, building, my busy time of the year at business and everything else and all of this. And it's very sad to have to move where I've lived since 2006. But honestly, Marie and I came to the conclusion that just driving around LESD, just the district, just Litchfield, Goodyear, Buckeye, Verrado, whatever, is just never going to get away from that. I've had people, neighbors, friends that ask me just stuff that, stupid stuff, not because they're stupid, but out of ignorance from the gaslighting. And I not only have to deal with the malice of this board, but I also have to deal with the malice of their attorneys, who, believe me, ain't too great. See, here's a hint. Several administrators of LESD in the past year have confided in me that they both left with just left the middle of their contract, just goodbye, I'm leaving. And wanted to meet with me actually and confess to me, and they're okay with me telling it. One of them in particular, and there were real serious problems with the transportation department. And I'm not talking about Nate. There's another person, and this person was not getting any support from middle management, and he went to Jody Gunning, the previous superintendent, and Jody Gunning's response was, well, you're going to have to talk to our attorney. What employee is going to go stick around at a place like that when he goes to report to his superior, and the superior says, you're going to have to talk to the district attorney? And of course he left. So, you know, that's the LESD way, or at least it was. And it's definitely the way the governing board is continuing to the present. The governing board has no limits to what they will do to anyone who attempts to tell the truth. And so to answer when, I will be leaving LESD when I move, if not sooner. And God help me if I can't get that place ready and move before the end of the year. Thank you for listening and not interrupting.
Ms. Moran?
Yes, I had an excellent month. Our school year is off to a great start. There were a few bumps in the road at the district and school levels, as there always is, which is to be expected. But overall, I'm very pleased with the start to the school year. The first week of school, I visited Palm Valley Elementary and Rancho Santa Fe Elementary, which are two of our newest Leader in Me campuses. Rancho has been doing it for a little over a year, and Palm Valley just started with this school year. So I'm excited about the expansion of this program that was highlighted earlier this evening. This program teaches leadership and goal setting at the appropriate levels for students. So real applicable life skills based on Franklin Covey business principles that have been widely used by successful businesses for over 25 years. This month, I also attended the board study session to work on goals for Dr. Davidson and timelines for accountability, which was a very productive meeting. We were able to accomplish what we needed, and then we were able to adopt those at the next meeting. I had multiple meetings this month with Dr. Davidson to ensure open lines of communication and mutually respectful professional relationship as the district leader and a governing board member. I also was able to attend the ASBA annual law conference, which provides the opportunity to increase my understanding of the law set forth by our lawmakers down at the state legislature. And one of the things that the ASBA law conference does is it takes that law and then it explains how we practically apply that to our district and the policies that we create as board members. So they covered a myriad of topics, from current court cases and precedents on Title IX to employee and student social media use to the best practices to deal with board members who behave badly. Very informative, and definitely one of the most impactful uses of my time on one of the top priorities of governing board members, which is setting policy for the district. During the ASBA conference, one of the keynote speakers ended her presentation with a sing-along based on the fact that a key to student success is students having a sense of belonging and inclusion at their school. So I'm going to close my board report with the lyrics from the Cheers theme by Gary Portnoy. Sometimes you want to go where everybody knows your name, and they're always glad you came. You want to be where you can see your troubles are all the same. You want to be where everybody knows your name. Thank you.
Ms. Clymer.
I will admit, I am not really a fan of a sing-along typically, but I did enjoy that at the conference. I thought it was very impactful. We'll just leave it at that. All right, I'm going to keep this board report short. I think, many of us did several, of the same thing. So I do want to highlight the 3 schools that I was able to visit in the first week of school. And I can't believe that this is only the first month of school. I mean, it feels like it should be November or December by now, but just last month we were launching our kids into a brand new school year. First and foremost, I want to thank Dr. Davidson and your team, excuse me, for inviting us out to the first week of school. We've been on these campuses before, but never in this capacity. So not touring and everyone is prepared for us, but rather we were helping kids out of their cars and high-fiving at the front gate and, walking around the school with the principal and seeing, the diligent care that they give to every teacher, student, and classroom, every morning when they walk the campus. So thank you for that opportunity to get a firsthand look at what really goes on during that first week, which is hectic and chaotic, but also very exciting. And, it was a bucket filler for sure. So thank you to all of you guys that helped us out. The schools that I visited were Mabel Paget, Corte Sierra, and Scott Libby. You guys are doing a fantastic job, and it was just fun to be there with you. So thank you for the hospitality. Also attended the governing board retreat to discuss the superintendent goals. We talked about this at our last meeting, really looking forward to seeing how those transpire over the next couple of months. And thanks to this board for working together to put something together for Dr. Davidson. Also attended the law conference. I think Mrs. Moran wrapped it up pretty well in terms of the purpose of it. But one thing I will say I'm grateful for as a board member is it was a good chance to not only get some education on things that are going on around us in terms of legislation and legal cases that might impact us, our employees, our students, our families, but also time as a board and as administration to collaborate and connect and learn together. And we are an educational institution, and being able to, as adults, as professionals, go and do that together was impactful for me, just to be able to have that experience together. So thank you. And last but not least, I have been meeting a couple of times, just every other week or so, with Dr. Davidson and sometimes other members of his cabinet. Thank you for that time, because it gives me a chance to better understand some of the initiatives, what we're doing, why we're doing it, all of that kind of stuff. And also it helps us, you know, as you transition into this job, we are also transitioning in our relationship, getting to know each other and getting to know your new staff and all of the new policies that you're enacting. So it's a good way to build that rapport. And I appreciate you taking time to do that. So thank you.
I will try to keep this quick. I also appreciated the opportunity to get to visit schools on that first week of school. I was able to go to Dreaming Summit Elementary, Rancho Santa Fe, White Tanks Learning Center, Thomas Heck, and Wigwam Creek Middle School. And so thank you to the administrators that met us there and to the principals that let us just show up on your campus for a short little period of time and see what was happening and feel that exciting energy of the first week of school. It was really a great experience to see that and see all of your team in action. So I really liked that. The board retreat was great. We came up with some great goals. I think that we worked on that very well collaboratively. And as a team, I feel pretty hopeful about this year and what it's going to look like for our students and for our staff. I was also able to attend the Trust Policy Governance Summit. This was put on by our trust, and it is similar into trainings that ASBA does, but it was just a different organization putting it on. And I feel like I learned a lot that day as well. So I'm glad I got to go through that, because then I also went to the ASBA conference. And so it was kind of nice. I got to hear a lot of the same things, right? In fact, they had a presenter that was at both of them from the Attorney General's office. So that was fun to see his presentation 2 times. But so those were great opportunities, both of those, for me to learn how these laws are going to impact our job as governing board members, what we're going to have to do for students, what we have to do for staff, because there was several things that we just need to know about and keep in mind, and we don't know what we don't know. So it's a great opportunity for us to learn those things. I also attended as a parent, but I'm plugging this, volunteer training at Rancho Santa Fe. I will encourage anybody that wants to volunteer in our schools to do our volunteer training that we offer online and fill out the paperwork, talk to the local schools that are near them, and please get involved. Every school cannot do it alone, so we need our community members to come out and help. We know that everybody's got special talents that they can share with our students, so I highly encourage people to look into how they can help in our schools by doing that. I lastly have had to have multiple meetings with our attorney to discuss the lawsuit that Mr. Honak has against the LASD school district. And I bring this up because he opened the door last month, but this is something that is taking up a lot of our time, as my time as board president and people at the district office. So I just feel like the community needs to know that that is where I'm spending my time. Lastly, I just want to do a shout out to Dr. Davidson and his whole team. A lot of them are new. Nobody's been here more than 2 years, but you all are killing it this year so far. We're a month in, and I feel better than I ever have with the direction that this district is going. So I appreciate all the hard work you're putting in. I appreciate the transparency that you have with us as a board, with our families, with our communities. And I know that's only going to get better over time. So thank you so much for all that you do. And with that, we'll move on. Just a shout out to our administrators. We got all of your reports. We read the reports. I love all the pictures now that school's back in session, so we get to see all the pictures. Special shout out to the principals. Some of the reports were like the best we've ever seen, really. And I appreciated seeing some of the communication that's happening on our campuses. Mabel Pageant, like the weekly updates they send out is awesome. And I loved being able to see what you're sharing with your families. So thank you to all the administrators for writing those reports and sending them to us. It's just another way for us to keep connected to what's going on in the different areas and different campuses. So thank you very much. With that, I will entertain a motion because we are all done.
I move to adjourn the meeting.
I will second.
Having a first and a second, I will call for the vote. Mr. Owens?
Yay.
Mr. Honak? Oh, Ms. Moran?
Yay.
Ms. Clymer?
Yay.